Now um, let's talk about these vision reels. Now I call these um, here on this slide it says film observation assignments, but it's really vision reels. So I would say a couple things are true. Number one, and again, I learned this from my friend who worked for Coach Shanahan, is that one of the things he really liked about working on a Kyle Shanahan staff is that Kyle is always just talking about football. So there's informal film sessions where there's not a specific agenda. And I think those are really good. I really like doing these with my quarterback. Once I have kind of laid the groundwork for, hey, here are the 6 or 7 things that it means to be a Bomber quarterback. These are the things that are important to us. And we can just watch. There is so much meat on the bone of an average clip that you can learn from in terms of defense, in terms of technique, in terms of eyes, footwork, pocket movement, ball placement. There's just so much. And so a lot of times I just like to watch film with guys, have them tell me what they see, and us kind of go down rabbit trails. I think there's a ton of value in that. And that'll lead me to, hey, here's how I might think as a play caller. Here's how I would think about this as a play caller. Here's what I would want you to understand. What would you see here? And there's just a lot of really good connectivity that gets built over time when you're constantly talking about football. I think having educated conversations and text conversations or group me conversations with your kids as you're watching the Super Bowl, or you're watching the college football playoff, or you're watching whatever. I just think there's a lot of value in that. You create a fiber. I'm not using the right word, but you create just a network of memories and conversations that add up. If I see something on Twitter that I think is valuable about somebody's process, Bo Nix did a really great interview with Greg Cosell and Doug Farrar. I sent my kids a link to that, or just a clip. I'm always trying to model my passion for football and let it overflow to my quarterbacks. I think there's a lot of value in that. Now, we do it more formally also, because I do think one of my number one jobs as a coordinator and a position coach is to be correctly evaluating what my kids really understand. And that is tedious. It's frustrating because we all like hearing the sound of our own voice, but I constantly have to be understanding, okay, what is he really seeing? And if he's not seeing the correct things, or if he's missing things, how can I help him understand? Is he valuing what I value? So this would be an example of a vision reel. So I would just make a cut up of, for example, Joe Burrow at LSU in 2019. Or I might have a game of all of C.J. Stroud's passes from last year with Houston, or you name it. Like, choose your own adventure. We try to have a pretty extensive film library that we can show them whoever. And so what I want them to do is write out what they see, and notice that I've given them categories. I've given them some guidance in terms of, hey, these are really good clips. I make the quarterbacks make their own cut-up reels because now I'm forcing them to study film with a purpose. I am getting to see, and I think about this now, I'm getting, when they give me a list like this filled out, number one, they're watching film with intent that aligns with our core values. Number two, I'm getting to see what they see. I'm getting to understand what they value. And most importantly, I'm starting a conversation. These are phenomenal conversation starters because now we get to kick back and forth. And you said this, but I also noticed this. And I learn a lot from this. I learn from my quarterbacks. I gave you the example of William Stein. There's lots of other examples like that. Almost every quarterback I've had, I've learned from. So this is what it might look like for a quarterback. And in this case, I'm using the specific categories of, these are all things that are very high on our value list. Ball placement, pocket movement, pocket strength, meaning not bailing out of protected pockets, and working progression. So they're finding examples of those. This is what it might look like for a receiver. Again, defining for them, what does a good receiver look like? and then backing it up on video clips, reinforcing it with video clips. This example was from a study of Julian Edelman that I gave him. All right, where are clips that you see great releases at depth? What does that look like? Again, I'm trying to build mental models. I don't ever want to say, and again, this came out of a conversation that I was really fortunate to have. Somebody who coached with Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel and that whole crew said that every single one of those guys had a video library that could support anything they wanted to see on the football field. So if I want to see what it looks like to separate from a press corner at the top of a blaze out route, I can go to my library and I can show my kids in a meeting 3 clips just like that. So now I'm not just saying, hey, here's your footwork, here's what you need to do with your head and elbow. I can show them exactly what it looks like and marry a picture to a coaching point to a purpose just like that. And so I'm trying to create in their head a visual representation of what great blocking looks like. Don't just say great blocking, show them an example, and then break down the technique points you see from there. This is what great releases at the line of scrimmage look like. This is what it looks like to separate at the top of a dig route or a curl route or whatever the case may be. So again, they're watching film with purpose. Again, they are the receiver coach gets to see what his kids see. Again, he gets to start a conversation with them. Here is a more general one. And again, I would use this more for concepts. Here is, we made a clip of about 30 or 40 wide zone reps from the 49ers earlier in their career. And each position has a person they're responsible for evaluating and just describing what they see, what I can learn from. Again, really good conversation starters. So this is good for us in terms of building football IQ and, again, trying to build the mental model of what good football looks like.